Hi everyone, David Aragona and Craig Milkowski are taking a look at one of two graded stakes on Saturday at Saratoga. The grade one on that Saturday card is race 8, the Alfred G Vanderbilt Handicap, going 6 furlongs on the main track for the 4 and up runners. And Craig, we've got two really talented sprinters in this field in last year's Breeders' Cup Sprint winner, the number 4 Elite Power, as well as Gunite, who has won a grade 1 at Saratoga before, taking down the Hopeful a couple of years ago, has been towards the top of that sprint mile division on the dirt for a number of years now. They're definitely the two main players in this race.
No doubt about it. I mean, the morning line shows it. I'm sure you nailed it in this spot. Elite Power's the champion. He'll probably take a little more money, but Gunite is clearly the strong second choice, way above the rest.
It is a field of 7. There are some other runners in this field, and as we take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race, some of those long shots do possess early speed, particularly the number 3 Awesome Aaron, who is a little tough to make on form, but he's shown a lot of early speed in recent races. And Greg, the number 7 Little Vic, when he runs well, he generally shows speed. So I would imagine those two will go out towards the front end, and that shouldn't bother Gunite, who's a bit of a stalking type, and also Elite Power, who would appreciate any pace he gets to close into.
Agree. And even Dean Delivers, who was shown back in third, as we're going to see, he was able to win going wire to wire in a graded stakes last time. So it might even be a little more contentious than we have it.
Let's go through this field in post-position order, mostly by beginning with the number 1, Gunit, and we'll take a look at his last race, an optional claiming victory at Belmont. And Greg, we saw Gunit do something that he doesn't often do in his races, and it's actually change leads in the stretch. He's a horse that had a bad habit of always hanging on his left lead, but especially when he was in the Steve Asmussen barn. But Linda Rice, she can do no wrong seemingly these days, and she was even able to get Gunit to change leads last time. He was able to achieve the victory after he did so, but it's a big step up in class for this horse as he tries stakes company.
It is. I wouldn't blame anybody who wanted to bet Gunit, given how hot Linda Rice is at Saratoga, particularly with Jose Ortiz in the irons, who is back riding after a brief injury spell. So seems a little bit light on the speed figures, but does draw a good inside post position for his running style, could save ground. 6 furlongs, I know it's what he won at last time out. It might be a little short for him against this kind of competition.
I was thinking the same thing. And Linda Rice, for all of her success, has not been able to duplicate those numbers in graded stakes races, especially over the past couple of years or so. The number 2 is Synthesis, and we'll take a look at his last race in the John Nayrud Stakes. This was going 7 furlongs at Belmont. And Craig, I thought this horse got a pretty tough trip. Manny Franco sent him up to make a 5-wide move around the far turn, and he tried to sustain that bid, going wide every step of the way. You could see in the yellow cap door down towards the inside, that's Little Vic, who was also coming out of this race. He fades to 5th, but Synthesis stays on pretty gamely to get up for 2nd here. Craig, this was going 7 furlongs, though, and I'm not sure if this horse is going to be suited by the turn back to 6.
I would agree with that. All of his races, save the first, that off the turf one, have been longer of recent, and he just doesn't have that early speed. It seems to take him a while to get going. I'm also not sure what happened in the True North when he faced better competition, including Elite Power, who's in this field. He really didn't show up that day. So even though they were both grade 2 races, the True North was clearly much stronger, in my opinion.
And also coming out of that John Nayrud was Little Vic, who faded to 5th in that spot. Maybe 7 furlongs is just a little far for him, Craig, and he did try that distance in his last couple of starts. He had an excuse in the card or two back when he was chasing a very fast pace. This horse ran some speed figures going back to the winter time that would make him a contender in this spot. It's just a little tough to get past that last race because he was supposed to do better against a weaker field than this.
He was. I think I bet him that day, if memory serves, and he was frankly pretty disappointing. You see the blue fractions. He was on the lead that day. Wasn't really a factor in the stretch at all for no real reason other than he just wasn't good enough. So he has the races to win. It's just a question if you think he can get back to him. And when I look at his PPs, I see a lot of success over that winter track at Aqueduct. He won at Laurel in the winter. So I'm wondering if maybe it's conditions. He likes those a little more than the warmer climates.
And he could be on the chase from the outside, as you noted, with regard to that pace projector. A couple of very fast horses drawn to his inside, including the number 3, Awesome Aaron. We'll take a look at his past performances, and he's really the outsider in this field, Craig. He just doesn't seem like he quite classes up with this field. He's competed on turf and synthetic a few times recently. Did improve when he switched back to dirt in the last 2 starts, showing a lot of speed in those races, setting a very fast pace last time. Just had trouble sustaining it against weaker, and this is a big step up in class.
It is. It sure seems like he's the speed, particularly when you look at those last 2 dirt races. And it would be pretty silly to enter him in this race and not use that speed. So I assume he's going to be on the front end and set a solid pace. It's just hard to picture any scenario where he winds up winning.
Up next is the number 4, Elite Power, who is that favorite on the morning line. Let's take a look at his last race when he won the True North, coming back off the layoff. This was his first start since an overseas trip over the winter, and he did what he was supposed to do this day, Craig. Wasn't facing the toughest competition. His main rival, Strobe, probably didn't show up quite his best effort, but Elite Power just took over with that patented late run at the top of the stretch to win this race pretty easily in the end. You could see Aragona is going to just gear him down as they come onto the wire. The one knock against Elite Power, Craig, is that he's never really broken the clock in terms of speed figures or running fast times, but he does just keep winning.
He does, and he's a horse. Last time I said, that's it, I'm done trying to beat him, as I've done several times. We'll see at the end if I change my mind or not, but he's got a couple knocks, in my opinion. He looked great in the True North, but that wasn't the strongest field. As you said, his main rival, Strobe, has already come back to disappoint at very short odds. So I'm not sure how strong that field was, but he also has the kind of running style that it seems like he just runs fast enough to get the job done. So he is going to be a short price. I don't love ever taking that, but he's certainly the horse to beat.
Yeah, and arguably the best performance that he put forth was in that Riyadh dirt sprint in Saudi Arabia 2 back when he easily defeated his main rival Gunite. And let's take a look at Gunite's PPs in Timeform US. He was obviously second in that Riyadh dirt sprint, came back and was a very game third in the Dubai Golden Shaheen after that. I thought he ran well in both of those races overseas. Came back from the layoff last time at Churchill Downs, was bet down to heavy favoritism and beat some pretty good horses in that spot, Craig. Bango is a horse that's always tough to take down at Churchill. He seems to really up his game at that venue, but Gunite was able to beat him with a solid 124 Timeform US speed figure.
It is, and I hate to be the guy to say it. I have a little bit of questions about that speed figure when I look back through the PPs. Bango and Tahano Twist have come back to regress 4 or 5 points off of that race. Not saying it's not good. It fit with the rest of the day, so it seems solid. I'm just always a little leery when horses from the race aren't able to match big numbers and wonder if maybe it's just a little overrated given the run backs, but he's certainly a contender in here. His last race was arguably the best race of his career, so I couldn't blame anybody for picking Gunite. He's probably going to be double the price of Elite Power.
Yeah, and he's a horse who has run multiple fast speed figures in his career. He's got a few 123s, 124s, which are higher than anything Elite Power has ever run. Let's take a look at the number 6, Dean Delivers, and check out his last race. And he is one who could be forward in here, as you noted, with regard to that pace projector, Craig. He showed a lot of speed last time, going to the front end, getting an aggressive ride from the rail to clear off. And he was able to sustain that speed right on through the wire, not letting anybody else get into this race. Feels like this horse has really stepped up his game in his last couple of starts.
It does. And when you look at his speed figures, they're certainly not very far off, particularly Elite Power, but also even Gunite is just a few points behind. So he draws a decent outside post. His rider's going to have to work out a trip. I wouldn't advise getting involved in the speed duel, seeing he has shown to be able to rate off the pace before. And I think he's actually pretty dangerous. I'm not sure I don't think he's quite of the quality of the top 2, but he wouldn't shock me if he found his way to win this one.
And given how much money those top 2 are going to take, he's one that could slip through the cracks in terms of his price. Let's take a look at our top picks in this AG Vanderbilt, Craig. I'm not surprised we've got the same exact here. We just switched up to the order a little bit, and you kept to your word. You're not trying to beat Elite Power in this spot.
No, I was really tempted to because I am a fan of Gunite. I think he's good. I won't be shocked if he wins, but after a while, sometimes I just raise the white flag on trying to beat horses. Elite Power keeps beating me, and so I figure there's something I'm missing when that happens. So I was impressed with his last race, and clearly he can win in this spot.
Yeah, I think Gunite is still a little bit underrated. He was sort of playing second fiddle to Jack Christopher last year, and they tried that Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile instead of the Sprint. He's run speed figures that say he's every bit as good as Elite Power, just hasn't quite done as much winning as that main rival. So we'll see if he's able to cause the very minor upset in this AG Vanderbilt on Saturday at Saratoga. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.